Hi everyone, it's Dr. BCW, and I am so excited to introduce Sabrina, who is an amazing artist and really just brings art to a whole new level. And so thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
thanks for coming.
Absolutely. So I would love for everyone to hear more about your story, why you do what you do.
Well, I started working with the beads about 11 years ago, and I used to teach interior architecture at University of North Carolina and did art as my stress relief. You know, you come home, you're stressed out, just give me that place, and I'm a craft store junkie. So I had a little bit of everything, and I played with everything. And I wanted to do stained glass, and I didn't have the money or the space or to do it. We were in an apartment and limited resources. And so I had some beads left over that I tried to make jewelry out of. I realized that jewelry was not my thing. Following patterns was something I had difficulty with. I didn't understand all the arrows and all of the things happening. And so I said, well, these beads are glass, and I wonder what they would look like if I glued them down onto a board, because they might look like stained glass. So I did it, and my first piece looks like a third grader did it. It's about this big, but the concept was good, and there were a lot of things I didn't like about what I did, but that I knew I could solve. And as a designer, you're a problem solver. So I spent years just developing my own glue, developing my own techniques, kind of doing with beads what nobody else had been willing to do with beads through traditional beading, which was always very controlled. The beads have always been put together in patterns like little soldier beads, and they've been told what to do and who they were allowed to be with and not. And then I kind of threw all that out the window because I wasn't stringing anything. And I let them lay in the direction they want, and I was able to mix different sizes and shapes and styles together and let them play in the same sandbox. And that was something they were never allowed to do. And so it's been an incredible journey because I discovered the beads themselves. I had to learn the personality of the beads and how they enhance each other and can help each other. And then, experimenting with what I can do with them. And I'm always discovering new things to do with them. Like these hot air balloons are gemstones. They're pear-shaped beads, and I realized if I turn them upside down, they're hot air balloons. And so how fun is that? And using bugle beads to make cactus and different charms and things that I can incorporate using stones with bugle beads and seed beads and different pear shapes and charms to create a desert scene. So there's so many options out there with beads that have been kind of unexplored. And I just experiment all the time and see what I can do.
And you know how one part that I loved about the story that you mentioned, when you started doing this, you knew that this is what you should be doing.
Yes.
And how that kind of allowance that you did for yourself has now allowed you to help other people be able to bring forward art in a new way.
Yes.
And so I just want to kind of highlight that because, often we get restricted. You talked about with the beads, it was always in a pattern, or there's things that we always have to seem like we have to do.
Yes.
But when you kind of disrupt that, that's when you really get the beauty and the pieces and be able to reshape whatever you want to do in life. And art is so therapeutic when we talk about physical and mental health. And so you have now created something that does reduce stress, that does disrupt and allow people to kind of be able to connect on a deeper level. And I think that is so powerful.
Yeah, this is my meditation.
Yes.
I used to tell my students all the time with architecture, you need to embrace the process. Don't always try to get to the end result. It's the process it's the journey, it's getting there.
Right.
And with the beads really solidified that for me. And it was because they're not a concrete thing when they're an idea. And so it's the process and it's the meditation in the process. I spend 12 hours a day working on these things, but it's my time. It's me, it's focused. I listen to music, I learn, I listen to podcasts, and I read audiobooks, and that all feeds me. And then I can feed the art because I'm happy, it shows in the art and it passes on to other people. And coming from academia, I'm a teacher, and people have been wanting to learn. So I do workshops and I teach. I have a YouTube channel and I pass on my knowledge as much as I can to share with everybody, because I want them to be happy. I want them to find their happy place too. And then we have kits now that allow people to try it. And then that way they can kind of, I want people you can try my way, but then I also want you to explore your way. And so I give you the tools that you can expand that and say, oh, I know, now I'm comfortable with this. Now, well, what if I did this? And then explore that in their way. And I had a client once who did a workshop with me, and she tackled a pretty tough piece. And I told her, I said, you're probably not going to finish it. You'll need to go home. And she said, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. And the next week they came back to a show. She came with her husband. And she said, I finished it. And she showed it to me. And her husband came to me and he said, I just want to thank you. And I said, well, what for? And he said, because she has been humming in her studio all week. And she hasn't been that happy in a long time. And thank you for giving her her happy back. And that for me was it. It was, that I helped her find her happy place. And it was through beats. And that, he recognized that was incredible. He said, she hasn't been humming in there forever, and I love that she does that now. And everybody should find that happy, that you embrace the process of whatever you're doing, and then just dive into it. If you love it, dive into it. And it's not about making money or selling it. It's about the creation of it and the joy that it gives you when you create. And it can be in the kitchen. I'm not good in the kitchen.
I'm not either.
That's my husband's studio. His studio is the kitchen. But me, not so much. But I can, make beadwork, and that's my happy. So
well, and when you're making beadwork, you are making others happy, and you are doing so much more. And so thank goodness you allowed yourself to have this process.
Oh, yes.
To take in a different journey, a risk, but how it has brought forward such peace, love, and joy, not only in your heart, but for others.
Yeah.
And that is so powerful. And, the other thing I think of is when we met, I love the fact that just in general, your art was appealing to me. And I went to it and you said, oh, you can touch it. And I was like, really? Like, it was a shock. And that part was really important to me to showcase, because often we see these beautiful things from afar, but we're not allowed to touch it.
Yes.
And so you have brought forward not only a mental imagery, but a tactile imagery. And think of how when you are able to combine those two things, how that can really be so important for mental and physical health as well.
Yes.
So I just love that part, and it has been such a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
The other piece that I want to talk about is we also have something in common when it comes to shoes. So I can't let this go without talking about it. And that is our shoes. So I did think of Sabrina this morning when I put on my favorite shoes, and these shoes make me happy. And so it's a wonderful thing. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, absolutely.
Yes, it was a pleasure. So this is Dr. BCW. Thank you for watching Beyond Clinical Walls.